is a KSL Decision 2016 special report.
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division.
Breaking news overnight, the nation waking up to President-elect Donald Trump. The Republican nominee will now be the 45th president of the United States after a long, memorable campaign, to say the least. Questions this morning, how exactly the uncertainty of a Donald Trump presidency became a reality, and what happens next as Trump begins planning his transition.
And of course, everyone wondering, how will he govern? And what's at stake here as Trump not only has the White House under Republican control in 2017, but the House and Senate and Congress, of course, as well. Meanwhile, we just learned Hillary Clinton will be speaking for the first time publicly since conceding the race to Donald Trump over the phone. She'll be speaking at 7:30 our time at the New Yorker Hotel. Now, we'll get to all of that in a moment, but first we want to check in with Grant Wayman on this Wednesday morning to get a look at our forecast.
All right, guys, and a good morning to you. We'll be real quick here. No surprise once again. Sunny, mild weather lately, and we're right back up there. 65 degrees yesterday. We hit that again today in Salt Lake City. Lots of sunshine. Ogden as well. St. George, very warm again. 79 degrees. Cool. Certainly not too cold for this time of year. It's 43 at the airport. We'll see highs in the 60s for a lot of the state. Today, mostly sunny skies, price up to 63, 68 in the sunshine. Cedar City, we'll talk about how long the warm stretch sticks around. That'll be in the full report coming up. We go to Andy Farnsworth right now, though, 631 with chicken traffic.
Starting to fill in a little bit now as you head on I-15, both directions into Salt Lake City, but it looks like a pretty typical commute pattern building so far. Nothing out of the ordinary. We have no crashes to tell you about, thankfully. Here's a live look at I-15 crossing 215 in Murray. You can see it's a little bit busy coming toward the camera between Midvale and Murray right now. It's also a little bit heavier in Draper and Sandy, but not enough to add to your commute time yet. Davis County still looking pretty good. This is in Bountiful near the 5th South exit going into Woods Cross. And by this point, traffic has got the full speed limit. And other than a little bit of heavy traffic in Kaysville, you're good the most of the way from Ogden to downtown.
For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
There you have it. Donald Trump pulls off a stunning political upset, becoming the president-elect and calling now for unity after what many are calling one of the most dramatic and improbable election nights in American history. And this morning, we're learning, of course, that Hillary Clinton will speak publicly at 7:30 Mountain. This comes after Donald Trump says she called to concede the election late last night.
Meanwhile, many wondering how the outcome of this election came to be, with so many polls showing Hillary Clinton in the lead for so long. For more on that, let's go to the Breaking News Center in Sheriff Park, keeping an eye on the numbers as we've been breaking them down. Sheriff.
Well, you guys can, there will be a lot of analysis on where everything went wrong in the polls because they certainly didn't show what actually happened here last night. Let's take a look at the map here to show you how we got to where we are this morning. Donald Trump needed 270 electoral college votes. Well, he got 278. Hillary Clinton came in with 218 from the Electoral College. She did win the popular vote, but when it comes down to who gets the White House, it comes down to these Electoral College votes here. So this morning, 4 states still have not been called for either candidate, including Arizona, Michigan, Minnesota, and New Hampshire. If you take a look, Florida and Ohio went red very early on last night, but likely after you went to bed. He also won Pennsylvania, a lean Democrat state, many thought, but it turns out he ended up winning that one. All battleground states that we said we would be watching closely, Donald Trump did very well in. Andrew and Lori.
All right, very good. Sheriff, thanks for the update from the Breaking News Center. Meanwhile, races here in Utah, not quite as surprising. Governor Gary Herbert, he will get another 4 years in office. Early polls indicating he would win easily, and he certainly did as the incumbent. The governor and Governor Herbert says he wants to make education the #1 issue moving forward. And Ben McAdams looks to keep his job as Salt Lake County mayor, getting more than 60% of the vote. He wants to focus on minimizing homelessness, providing preschool for low-income families, and offering better-paying jobs in the private sector as well.
Okay, let's go to the Alpine School District now, where it asked voters for some financial help, and they supported it overwhelmingly with over 68% of the vote. Now, that means families in that school district will see 13 total new schools, 4 of those will be rebuilt. Because of the growth in the area, the district expects to be able to pay for this without raising taxes. Now, the Jordan School District will get nearly $250 million to build 6 new schools. Proposition 1 in Salt Lake County will cost taxpayers nearly $17 a year. Now, Jordan School District tried to get this bond approved 3 years ago. It took a reduction in price for voters to finally approve it this time. And Brittany Copeland is live this morning at West Jordan Middle School to show us where your money will be spent. Brittany.
Good morning, Lori. I'm in the music room, and this is a prime example of why West Jordan Middle School needs a rebuild. Check out the water damage. This is where they house some of the equipment and some of the instruments, and it's not a great place to keep things when you have damage on the wall like that. This just happened a few weeks ago, but if you come out here in the music room in general, you can tell that it's out of date. This building is over 60 years old. Let's bring in Susan. She's the president of the school board. And this has been something in the making for a few years now, but finally it's passed and approved. So let's take a look at the plans and tell us what's the next step, what's the timeline, how does everything look?
Well, I think this morning, as soon as the people get to work, they will hit the ground running. Fortunately, we've been able to do most of the architectural work and preparatory work before the bond passed yesterday. And so when we're ready now to go out for bids, we're ready to begin breaking ground. So I think you'll see that in the early spring.
The big reason for this is you're expecting a big increase in the number of students attending this school district.
That's correct. Our numbers project over 9,000 new students in the next 5 years.
Wow. So you're anticipating a start date of the rebuild for the West Jordan Middle School around this spring. And then also there's a few new schools that are going to be added because of this bond. There'll be a high school, 2 elementary schools, as well as 2 middle schools, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
All right. Well, of course, this is definitely something where education is being focused on here, well needed, especially now as I've been touring West Jordan Middle School. They certainly did need this upgrade. Back to you.
And they are certainly going to get it, thanks to the voters. Brittany Copeland live in West Jordan. Brittany, thanks.
Back to the presidential race this morning. Donald Trump waking up as president-elect of the United States. And joining us this morning live from outside the Trump campaign headquarters in New York, Sarah Rosario from NBC News. Sarah, any word on Trump's plans today?
Yeah, I know.
Well, Andrew, I haven't heard what Trump plans on doing. We do know he's been up already, tweeting, very excited about being presidential-elect. As you can imagine, he pulled out quite the upset yesterday. He was trailing in the polls in the couple of days leading up to the election. I think many people pretty much thought that Hillary Clinton had this race, and then here he is pulling out a win. Donald Trump, 70-year-old billionaire with no previous government experience. The American voters deciding that that is who they want to run this country for the next 4 years. He took to the stage yesterday, accepting the president-elect position there. And first, he started out by telling Hillary Clinton, job well done. He praised her for a hard-fought campaign, and he said, while the campaign is over, the work has yet to begin. And he talked about some of the things he plans to do during his presidency, making promises to the American people, telling them that, yes, we will be bringing this country together. We're going to be restoring the economy, strengthening it, providing jobs and lessening taxes, things that people want to hear. But you may remember, while he was campaigning, he had a whole bunch of things that he said that he would be doing within his first 100 days in office. Those things include things like building a wall. He wanted to get those plans rolling, banning Muslims. He talked about immigration reform. He talked about ending Obamacare on day 1 in the office, is what he said. And he also said he plans to sue all of the women, his accusers. So these are things that we're going to be seeing if Donald Trump is going to be sticking to his promises moving forward, and if his supporters will still be standing by him even if he doesn't hold those promises. Tomorrow, President Obama has invited him to the White House, and within the next hour, we are expecting to hear from Hillary Clinton, even though she did call Donald Trump conceding to him yesterday. She has yet to talk to the American people. She's expecting to do so in just a little bit, and we'll listen to what she has to say to see if it changes anything. Reporting live in New York City, Sarah Rosario. Andrew, back to you.
All right, Sarah, thank you. We will see Donald Trump for the first time at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It would appear tomorrow. Lori?
6:39 right now. This morning's opening bell uncertain. Dow futures sinking lower than 9/11 overnight. NASDAQ, S&P futures temporarily halted.
Now it becomes a guessing game as to how badly hit this market will be in the morning.
So the question here is, what does this mean for you and your money? And joining us is Shane Stewart, Deseret Mutual financial planner. We do have some good news to report. Let me share some new numbers for you. The U.S. stock futures here, the Dow particularly ticking back up. Now, it's still in negative territory, but 256. It's down about 1%, 1.4%. So that's certainly good news, I guess, as if people waking up, getting used to the fact that Donald Trump is president-elect.
I think that's what's happening, is it's being absorbed by the general public that, oh, Trump has won and will be the president. I also think he helped himself out by offering an olive branch of peace, so to speak, you know, talking to Clinton. And the best thing that Trump can do for the economy and for markets is play nice. In many ways, play nice and make sure that he brings everybody, including his own party, into some decision-making. That will help. And so that was a good indication of him reaching out to people and making sure that that he, for lack of a better term, plays nice, and that will help the markets. And so I think today we'll have a down day. We'll probably have a few down days in the next few days to weeks and maybe even months. The stock market itself is a little overvalued. It is expected that it would come down. This is maybe one of the impetus for that. So people perhaps panicking in these next few days, but long term, I think you made a good point when you joined us earlier, the fact that markets are nonpartisan. Correct. The long-term markets are nonpartisan. It really has more to do with policy and the economy itself. And the short run is always going to be volatile. It just depends on which direction that's going to go. For the general public out there that are investing mostly in their 401k, it's a long-term proposition anyway. You shouldn't make decisions based on headlines. You should make those decisions based on deadlines, meaning when do you need that money. And so if you have a properly diversified portfolio, you should ride these things out in the short run. It should balance out in the short run as well. So no selling off today, tomorrow, the next day. Things should stay calm as we continue to look at the markets. Even if the markets are volatile, you should stay calm. You should stay calm. That is the message this morning. Right. All right, Shane, thanks so much for joining us. 6:42 right now. We send it to Grant Wayman to look at our Wednesday forecast. All right, guys, and speaking of calm, you know, the weather has been very calm lately. Again today, look at all those clear skies as we start to get some light out there early on this Wednesday morning. Lots of sunshine today, a touch on the hazy side. Again, this should be no surprise. We're warming back up, 65, way above the average high for this time of year, backing down to the 50s at 7. Jacket for the morning, short sleeves in the afternoon. You're good to go. How long the stretch lasts? We'll talk about it coming up. A political earthquake making shockwaves worldwide, and many questions global leaders have about a Trump presidency this morning.